Hello and welcome. My name is Lori Modisett, and I'm the Director of Education and Chair of the Commission on Ministry for the Episcopal Diocese of Wyoming. I'd like to welcome you to this training for licensed ministers. We're going to start off with learning about Eucharistic ministers. The licensing of ministries is addressed in Title III, Canon 4 of the Canons of the Episcopal Church. Section 6 states that a Eucharistic minister is a layperson authorized to administer consecrated elements at the celebration of Holy Eucharist. A Eucharistic minister should normally act under the direction of a deacon or a member of the clergy or other leader exercising oversight of the congregation or other faith community. A Eucharistic minister should have education and practice in the following areas, and those listed on this slide will be addressed within this PowerPoint. Let's first take a look at a bit of Eucharistic theology. The Eucharist is the sacrament of Christ's body and blood. It's the principal act of Christian worship, and the word Eucharist comes from the Greek thanksgiving. Jesus instituted the Eucharist on the night when he was betrayed. At the Last Supper, he shared the bread and cup of wine at a sacred meal with his disciples. He identified the bread with his body and the wine with his blood of the new covenant. And Jesus commanded his disciples to do this in remembrance of him. On page 859 of the Book of Common Prayer, our Catechism tells us that Christ's sacrifice is made present by the Eucharist, and that in it we are united to his one self-offering. The Last Supper provides the basis for the fourfold Eucharistic action of taking, blessing, breaking, and giving. Christ's body and blood are really present in the sacrament of the Eucharist and received by faith. Christ's presence is also known in the gathered Eucharistic community. The Eucharistic vessels used in the service are a paten or plate for the bread, a chalice or cup for the wine, and cruets which hold the wine and the water prior to the consecration. This next slide shows the various altar linens. The first linen we'll talk about is the altar cloth, or the fair linen. The fair linen represents the shroud in which Jesus was buried. On the fair linen are 5 crosses, one in each of the 4 corners and one in the center. These crosses represent the 5 wounds of Christ. The corporal is laid on top of the fair linen. Corporal means body. And the corporal is basically used to catch any crumbs or drips that might happen during the consecration. Purificators are used to wipe the chalice after each person receives communion, and also to wipe the excess wine out of the chalice after communion is finished. The pall is a 7x7 square of linen with a stiff piece of plexiglass or cardboard in the center. A pall is placed over the chalice during communion, and it's to help protect and cover the Eucharistic elements during communion. So where do you learn all the details regarding your Eucharistic ministry? A good place to start are with the rubrics in the Book of Common Prayer. Rubrics are instructions or directions, and these are found in italics throughout the Book of Common Prayer. Please notice the difference where you have choices or the word may is used. It would be a good idea for you to read page 361 through 367 of the Book of Common Prayer, which is Rite 2. Look and read all the italicized parts, and then go to page 406 and read all of the additional directions. This exercise will give